Welcome to the First Peoples Cultural Council's information session on the Heritage Stewardship Program, pre-recorded on April 16th, 2025. Before we begin the session, I'd like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Natalie Lynn Picard, and I'm a Heritage Planner with FPCC. I'm also the Program Contact for the Heritage Stewardship Program. I'm recording this information session from Victoria, the traditional territory of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples. I am a settler of French Canadian and Chinese Canadian ancestry and feel grateful to support the work of the First Peoples Cultural Council, while I am also on my own journey to reconnect with my cultural roots and traditions. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. I hope that this video provides valuable information as you begin the application process. The First Peoples Cultural Council is grateful to have offices located in two beautiful places. On the unceded territories of the Wasanich Nation people, and we have an office at Kamloops within the unceded territory of the Secwepemc people. We are grateful for speakers, artists, and knowledge holders who hold onto their languages, arts, and heritage. This information session offers an overview of the Heritage Stewardship Program, including what the program is, project examples, who can apply, eligible costs, application requirements, the program timeline, and how to apply. The Heritage Stewardship Program offers funding that recognizes the diverse ways that Indigenous communities steward their heritage. Applicants can apply for funding within 4 priority areas: sense of place, climate change, oral histories and protocols, and digitization and archiving. Each priority area has its own objective, offering you the opportunity to train and support your community in stewarding, protecting, and documenting your heritage in the ways best suited to your needs. For each priority area, applicants can apply for between $10,000 and $25,000. Applicants may choose up to 3 priority areas in a single application for a maximum funding request of $75,000. Budgets must be provided for each priority area. Priority Area 1 is Sense of Place. It supports projects that document and safeguard sensitive and significant cultural landscapes, places, and sites. Projects should include a mentorship or training component through which youth learn Indigenous and contemporary approaches to managing culture and heritage that are connected to the land. Some project examples from this priority area include land-based documenting projects, projects connecting Indigenous knowledge systems, the land, and waters, knowledge-sharing projects that are connected to a specific place, research projects to understand and caretake a site or place name projects, and mentorship and training projects related to cultural landscapes and activities. Funding available for projects in this priority area is $10,000 to $25,000. Priority Area 2 is climate change. It supports projects that explore how communities experience and respond to climate change in the context of Indigenous cultural heritage protection and revitalization. Some project examples from this priority area include documenting the impact of climate change on local fisheries and other food sources, assessing the impacts of climate change on culturally significant places and historic sites, developing beach management strategies to mitigate coastal erosion, and documenting and disseminating information about communities and landscapes that are experiencing climate change impacts. Funding available for projects in this priority area is between $10,000 and $25,000. The next priority area is oral histories and protocols. It supports projects that engage elders and knowledge keepers in sharing their stories and contribute to documenting Indigenous legal orders, protocols, and ways of knowing. Some project examples from this priority area include audio and/or video recording interviews of elders and knowledge keepers, translating and transcribing oral history recordings, and research projects or focus groups to document and articulate Indigenous laws, protocols, and knowledge systems. Recipients of this priority area can access FPCC's Oral Histories online course. The course includes modules on preparing for an oral history interview, conducting oral history interviews, data management and transcription, and technology recommendations. Funding available for projects in this priority area is between $10,000 to $25,000. The final priority area is digitization and archiving. It supports projects that digitize and/or archive existing cultural heritage records, including maps, audio and video recordings, transcripts, photos, illustrations, books, and other culturally important materials. It can also include using new technologies to document cultural heritage belongings and places. Some project examples for this priority area include creating an inventory of cultural heritage materials to digitize, transferring audio and video cassettes to digital media, training within communities on digitizing and archiving, cataloging cultural heritage records for an organization, and documenting and sharing heritage through new technologies. Funding available for projects in this priority area is between $10,000 and $25,000. This slide includes examples of all the eligible projects that I listed for the 4 priority areas in the previous slides. You can pause the video or take a screenshot if you'd like to keep a copy of the examples on hand when preparing for your application. Now that we've covered the priority areas, we'll talk about eligibility. Who can apply for the Heritage Stewardship Program? BC-based organizations that have a mandate or focus that includes First Nations heritage. Eligible applicants include recognized BC First Nations bands or tribal councils, not-for-profit societies registered in BC in good standing and governed by BC First Nations individuals, BC First Nations-led museums and cultural spaces, urban and off-reserve BC First Nations organizations, recognized BC First Nations schools or adult education centers operating in BC on First Nations land. Please note that FPCC is unable to fund K-12 classroom activities or post-secondary accredited courses or tuition. Societies and organizations other than First Nations governments may be asked to provide documentation confirming legal name and a list of the organization's current board of directors and governance structure. Additionally, societies may be asked to provide their certificate of good standing, certificate of registration, a copy of the organization's bylaws and constitution, and/or proof of insurance. On a case-by-case basis, FPCC will consider applications from organizations that are in the process of achieving a non-for-profit or society status. Please contact the program manager to discuss this further. Societies and nonprofits must have 75% of board members that are members of a BC First Nation. What costs are covered? Project costs must apply directly and be essential to the project. Costs will be reviewed to determine if they are reasonable and have been accurately estimated. Please keep in mind a budget must be submitted for each priority area that you are applying for. Eligible costs include salaries and wages that are specific to the project, honoraria. FPCC will cover $150 to $250 for a half day and from $300 to $500 for a full day, depending on the activities and protocols. Rates above these amounts must be covered by the applicant organization. If hiring a contractor or consultant, applicants must show that they have made the best effort to hire an Indigenous contractor or provide justification for why a non-Indigenous contractor was hired. Indigenous contractors and consultants will be prioritized. Food and hospitality, meeting and event space rentals, travel and accommodation, printing costs, and materials and supplies costs are all covered as long as they are reasonable and necessary to the proposed activities. Equipment rentals and purchases, including computers and recording devices, software needed to achieve the project's objectives, and administrative costs are also covered. Other expenses may be eligible, and we encourage you to contact us if you have any expenses that may fall outside of the categories listed. Please take note of the following limitations when preparing your budget. Contractors or consultants' costs may not exceed 30% of the funding requested. If a contractor will cost more than $1,000, you must provide a written quote with the program application. Equipment rentals and purchases, including computers and recording devices, may not exceed 20% of the funding requested for the priority areas, sense of place, climate change, and oral histories and protocols. However, in the priority area of digitization and archiving, you can pay up to 80% of your funds for this category. Administration costs may not exceed 15% of the funding requested in any of the priority areas. Now that we have covered eligibility for both applicants and expenses, I would like to share some suggestions that can help you succeed in developing your project proposal. These are things that will help the review committee to evaluate your grant application. Applications will not be reviewed unless all the necessary information is provided. Applicants must submit completed applications that include the following: a balanced project budget with detailed descriptions and cost breakdowns for each category, a thorough work plan with dates for key activities, a project timeline that fits within the HSP funding term. Please note that this year's funding term is shorter than previous years. Projects must be completed within a 10-month time frame. Reviewers will be considering this when reading through the applications. There are specific guidelines to follow for the letters of support depending on if you are applying as a band or a nonprofit society. Finally, ensure any applicable additional documentation is attached to your application. For example, applications that have additional funding confirmed must include proof of this funding, such as funding agreements or letters from donors or sponsors. Finally, a reminder of the grant timeline. As mentioned previously, this year we have a shorter funding term than previous years. To account for this, we have adjusted the fund issuing and reporting processes accordingly. The application deadline is May 23, 2025. The project activities begin on or after June 9, 2025. The interim report is due by October 31st, 2025. Projects must be completed by March 31st, 2026, and the final report is due by April 24th, 2026. Please note that due to the short timeline, we are prioritizing applications that demonstrate projects that are ready to start and can be completed in 10 months. How can my organization apply? Applications will open on FPCC's grant portal starting on April 28th. The portal can be accessed at fpcc.smartsimple.ca. You will need to create an account to apply. Please reach out to me at hsp@fpcc.ca or by phone at 250-652-5952, extension 283, if you need any support while preparing your application. If you require assistance with your application or would like to request a review of your application with feedback from staff, please email me before May 9th. Due to the number of requests we receive, we cannot guarantee that we will have capacity to review applications that are sent after this date. Please keep in mind we're here to help you with your application, but final decisions are made by the review committee. Thank you for your interest in applying to one of FPCC's grants, and good luck with your application.